Welcome back to our podcast.
Chronically Iconic Mistakes.
I'm your host, Jocelyn.
And your co-host, Raya.
Just a few weeks ago, the boy in the box has been identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli, a child who was born January 13th, 1953. Previously, Joseph's identity had been unknown since his mysterious death in February of 1957, at only the age of 4 years old.
Aww.
Today, we will be reigniting the case previously known as the boy in the box to bring awareness to this case in hopes that someone, somewhere, will hear his name and have information that can help finally put this case to rest. While those who potentially knew this child are probably long gone, we owe it to Joseph to solve his tragic death.
So is this the first time you heard of Joseph, or have you known about this case for a while?
So I've known about the boy in the box for a while, but this is the first time he's ever been identified.
Okay, because I've never heard, the boy in the box.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I live under a rock.
So this one's actually, I don't want to say it's popular, but, let's be honest, it is. And I know that it was on BuzzFeed, which we love those guys, so I thought maybe you had heard of, some of it.
Is there a statute of limitations for murder?
That is a really good question. I don't think that there is, because that would be fucked up.
Yeah, I know that there is for, rape and shit.
Which is also fucked up as hell. What?
That is really fucked up.
All right, let's find out. Okay, it looks like serious crimes like murder typically have no maximum period under a statute of limitations. However, in some states it does say sex offenses involving minors or violent crimes like kidnapping or arson, that's what falls under the no statute of limitations. However, it's really fucked up that it's only for minors. Adults being raped should have statute of limitations too, but hey, that's just me.
They really said fuck them adults.
They really do. What is with that? We're oh, kids are so precious, and then the adults were yeah, they can die, I don't fucking care.
Right?
It's really bizarre to me. Obviously protect children, but adults are people too.
Yeah, protect everyone, but I mean that's good if they find somebody, at least he can be charged.
Yeah, so it sounds,
or she,
sounds like it's still a possibility. And this case is in 1957. There is a chance that they're still alive, but they're probably pretty old, assuming that they were an adult when they murdered the child.
See, that's even more fucked up. Imagine getting away with murder for your entire life.
Yeah, and let's be honest, in all cases, we have to assume that, either the spouse or the parents are, the prime suspect when it comes to this. So it's really fucked up to think there's a chance that this was, the parent, and they got away with it.
That's psychotic. They were just living their lives.
Yeah. And, we'll go through some of the theories, and, I kind of have my own questions at the end that we'll go over, but just, to make sure everyone's aware, my opinions are not a theory, so it's just
fact.
questions I have. No, no, bad.
We're always right.
There's just some questions that I feel were never answered enough for me, so we'll just throw it in at the end. On February 23rd of 1957, a college student did not let the rain cancel his plans, and he set out to be an absolute fucking creep. Doing what, you ask? Well, he was quite literally being a peeping Tom at a Catholic home for struggling youth called the Good Shepherd Home. The college student's name has never been released, so as much as I would love to call him out for being literally the worst, we can rest easy knowing that he was likely traumatized forever from his poor choices.
That's pretty fucked up.
It's pretty fucked up, man.
Mm-hmm.
In order to get to the Good Shepherd home, the unnamed college student had to park on Saskatchewan Road. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but I don't care. You guys can look it up if you want. He then walked across an empty lot. Something that I want to know that I just found hilarious is that many articles refer to him as hiking and not being a literal juvenile delinquent. I just found that so
walking.
Yeah.
He was hiking across an empty parking lot.
Guys, he wasn't hiking. Like, that's so strange and repressive. Like, we aren't going to point out that this dude he wasn't just going for a hike, he was breaking the law. But, like, okay.
Was he white? Because
I'm assuming he was, but I have no way to know.
that tracks for sure.
Right? Especially in, like, 57.
Right.
Anyways, as Mr. Creepy McCreeper walks across the empty lot, he stumbles upon a cardboard box. I can only assume that this guy plays Peeping Tom often, because it must have seemed out of the ordinary enough for him to, like, check out the box. I imagine that as he peeled back the cardboard to peer inside, he had no idea that the contents of the box would change his life forever. Inside was a small child, completely naked and falling out of the blanket he was wrapped up in. The boy showed no signs of life. Mortified, the unknown man stumbles back to his car in a complete stupor.
Wow, so a dead child is what made him scared and leave, not being a peeping Tom.
Right? Like, I feel like you should be like, oh, Peeping Tom illegal. Maybe I shouldn't get in trouble.
Right.
As if creeping on literal unsuspecting women wasn't bad enough, this unknown man decides he isn't going to report what he saw. Instead, he goes home and then goes to church the next day to confess his sins. Horrified, the priest convinces the man to report the body to authorities. So at this point, we have no idea how long the body of this poor boy was outside. We have no idea if the child really was dead when he was found. What we do know is that this man should feel terribly guilty because this boy spent yet another day outside, pushing back help and an investigation. I hope he struggled with the guilt for the rest of his miserable fucking life, and I don't say that lightly.
That's so fucked up. Like, yes, let's go to church and tell a pastor or priest or whatever that I found a dead person.
Dude, I have the hardest time understanding that concept of, like, I can do, like, the worst shit and just come in and, like, confess my sins, and it's totally fine. Like, Jesus forgives you.
How is that legal? How is that legal?
I don't know.
Like, how...
I mean,
because I know that, like, sometimes they don't have to, like, report anything.
Yeah, I don't think they have to report it at all, but I'm hopeful that a lot of them do when it's like, oh, a dead person, you know, like this guy did.
You're hopeful, but I'm not.
But yeah, you really don't know. And, like, that's, like, the weird thing about it to me is, like,
especially
you could say, like, anything.
It's a child, dude. Like, I mean,
yeah, like,
it's still bad.
How dare you?
If it's an adult, it's still bad that you just left them there, but it's a fucking child.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I want to say for sure the child was, you know, gone at this point, but it's still the fact that, like, people are, like, really bad at telling when people are dead if they're not gonna, like, you need to, like, touch them to make sure, unless they're, like, clearly blue or something, but, like, you just never know, like, you just don't. And that's why you call for help, so people who know what they're doing can tell and do something.
I guess this is why you don't do illegal shit.
Yeah, this is a really good point. Like, I don't know. Something to know. I'm not sure how we even know this boy was a peeping Tom, because he reported to the police that he was outside chasing a rabbit, which is like the strangest story I have ever heard. But we know for... Like, if I was a cop, I'd be like, you were fucking what?
What is he, Alice in fucking Wonderland?
Yeah, like, you weren't doing that, dude. Just be honest.
I wonder if, like, the people at, like, the school or whatever, wherever he was peeping, like, they knew he was an issue, which is even more fucked up.
I'm kind of curious about that, too, because, like, they never give us, like, that backstory, but somehow they found out this dude was, like, really creepy.
Yeah, like, here comes the fucking creeper guy again. You guys shut your blinds.
Yeah, I mean... Maybe it was, like, the priest shared his information, to be honest, too. Like, because he clearly was like, dude, you have to report that, you fucking asshole. Like, come on.
Otherwise, y'all are both going to hell.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's fucked up. By February 24th, the 2 officers arrived on the scene, and the cardboard box containing a child's body was found. The child had a very short and choppy blonde hair that was cut with what felt like malice, because parts of his hair were, like, shaven close to his skull where others were not. He had blue eyes and appeared underweight. The most shocking of the boy's appearance were the bruises that he wore all over his body. These bruises were a clear sign that the child had died as a result of being brutally beaten. This theory was confirmed by the official autopsy.
This is for sure giving me, like, parent vibes, like parents did it.
Like, it seems like a long-term abuse thing had gone down, and like we'll get into like the actual autopsy report.
Okay.
The cardboard box wasn't the only thing found during the police investigation. There was also a hat that was made of corduroy and had a leather strap with a buckle. Near the cap, there was a small path that led through some bush. The officers followed the path, and what they found was chilling. At the end of the path was a small cardboard coffin. The cardboard that made up the makeshift coffin had originally contained a child's bassinet from JCPenney.
I didn't know, like, JCPenney, like, it's so weird to me that stores existed in the 50s.
Okay, stop. Because I was like, my next line is literally like, but it's really hard for me to imagine JCPenney existing in 1957.
Like, I don't know, maybe.
So I'm really glad it's not just me.
I felt like they were just making fucking clothes back then. Like, what were you doing at stores, guys? Like,
seriously though, like my perception of history is so skewed because like I just assume like 1957 are like these little people in like pilgrim outfits, like struggle busing.
I think
but we had JCPenney.
The disconnect is like history with like black people was literally going on around the same fucking time.
Yeah, see, that's what it just doesn't make sense to me that we had like modern things, but we were treating people like slaves.
Yes.
Like maybe that's just me. Like, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, so maybe get your priorities straight, fucking 1957 stupid ass JCPenney shit.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. As stated previously, the autopsy report confirmed that this boy was beaten to death. Most notably, he suffered a significant blow to the head. The autopsy also noted old marks that told the story of a boy who lived through years of abuse. He had unexplained scars on his chin and elbow, along with several strange surgical scars. The boy had a surgical scar on his chest, one on his groin for what was likely a hernia surgery, and another on his leg that was believed to be from exposing veins for like a transfusion. The autopsy suspected the boy had never been enrolled at any school because they could tell he had never been vaccinated, but it did note that he had been circumcised, so somewhere, someone likely had a record of him.
Yeah, this is not fucking okay.
No, it's so bad. Like, and it's really creepy that he has so many like surgery scars. Like, I wonder if he was like chronically ill or disabled and like the parents just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like when you say hernia surgery, you can get hernias from like being beaten too, right?
Yeah, true, Dad. You definitely can. And I mean, thinking of a transfusion, like you had to have had something major happen to need a transfusion. Like, and it's not typically just going to be hernia surgery. However, this is the 50s, so I could be wrong about that. They could have sucked at surgery and needed to do transfusions more.
Mm-hmm.
Because like hernias aren't a big deal now, but I'm not sure about that time frame.
Right, probably not.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, even those surgeries should have been documented, so I'm sure somewhere someone had.
Yeah,
something.
and I think that's something that bothers me is like the police did put like a lot of time into this case and they truly did care, but I don't think they ever looked for like a hospital or a doctor's office having like records of him, and I find that really weird. Like of that exact surgery, like they could have pinned it down by the surgeries he had.
Right, and I wish
and at least tried.
Or like, I don't know how it happens and, you know, way back then, but like
yeah.
I feel like they could have matched dental records.
They probably could have tried, but I don't know if that was a thing at the time actually.
Well, and also if he was actually being brutally beaten all the time, I doubt he went to a dentist.
Yeah, that too. And like something you'll notice about this time frame during the story is that they really didn't keep records of fucking anything at the time.
Or like it all burned down in mysterious fires.
Yeah, right? Like it's really weird. Like they really didn't keep records, and I'm sure that cases like this are the reason why we keep records on like everything now.
Mm-hmm. Well, around this time was like when all of the mental health shit was going down and they were doing all them crazy shits, so...
Yeah, like, the crazy shits. The 50s are the crazy shits.
Yeah, don't trust the 50s.
Don't do it. These findings weren't the only strange detail that the autopsy showed. The child's appendages were swollen and wrinkled like they would be like after taking a long bath, which tells us his body was soaked in water. The autopsy could not determine the exact time of when he was submerged, but it was certain that it was either directly before his death or immediately after. During the autopsy, autopsy, the boy's eyes showed bright blue under fluorescent light, meaning that he likely had seen an eye doctor who used dye to diagnose disease. Something to note is that they were unable to rule out if it was blunt trauma or pressure. So some believe that the child's head had actually been like squeezed during his last haircut, and that was maybe his cause of death. However, we really can't say for certain, but I do think it's like a theory worth mentioning.
I feel like you would have to squeeze pretty fucking hard to kill somebody, though.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and like you would, but if you think about like children, like they're not very developed, so I don't know if it'd be like easier or not.
Well, he was 4.
I don't know if they
so
still have soft
like...
spots. I don't know how kids work, okay?
Parents hit us up, Jesus. Another thing, like, a couple things. Number one, like, if he was being that abused, why the hell is he going to the eye doctor, number one? Number two, if he was going to the eye doctor and doing all this shit, like, where is the police report that he's missing?
Yeah, that's what bothers me. I feel like if the parents weren't involved, they certainly would have, you know, done a missing person report.
Yeah, this is like fucking Casey Anthony all over again. Goddamn.
Yeah, this for sure tells me that it, like, the parents had something to do with it, or the parents were never in the picture, which in 1957, like, I'm sure we still have, like, selling children going on.
Yeah, I mean, we still do, so it wouldn't be shocking.
Yeah, and, like, I think it was more acceptable at the time to, like, openly do it.
And a lot of, like, orphanages were super abusive fucking too, so.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, we've seen Annie, okay?
Yeah, Annie was in the 50s. Spread it.
I think it was. I'm not really sure.
It's giving me 50s vibes, so let's go.
It's got 50s vibes, yeah. Now, something that I am surprised to say when discussing a case in 1957 is that investigators really seemed to care a lot for this boy and solving his case. They got right to work investigating every little detail that was available to them, which wasn't much. This case being unsolved for so long isn't because of a lack of trying. I mean, I believe this case has been difficult due to the lack of evidence and the time frame. I mean, forensics just aren't what they are now, and we are so fortunate that science has advanced enough so we could finally identify this child. Now, all that's left is piecing together what happened to this poor child who has remained in the hearts of many because this case is so well known, as it should be. Except Raya.
I feel like it's not well known, so back off.
It totally is well known. I'm sorry, it just is.
We're on five then.
Investigators were able to determine more information on the cardboard that had been turned into that tiny coffin that we can only assume was meant to house the boy. This bassinet was very popular at the time. They sold for a whopping $7.50, which is just like fucking wild to look back on, especially at a time. Yeah, when we're experiencing like crazy inflation. Despite being popular, this particular bassinet was only sold to a dozen people on November 27th of 1956. Sadly, the store did not keep sale records at this time, but investigators did not give up. They were able to recover 11 of the 12 bassinets that had been sold on that day, but none were helpful in the investigation. They also dusted the coffin for prints, but ultimately they came up empty.
How the hell were they able to recover 11 of the 12?
Isn't that bothersome?
Like, you don't have sale records or anything. How did you just like, hey, who has this bassinet? Give it to me, bitch.
I think they did. Yeah, so that makes sense why, like, you know, you got 11 of them. The 12th person doesn't want to bring it forward.
Because they don't have it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. They burnt that shit. Next, they decided to test the blanket the child had been wrapped up in. It was sent for analysis at the Philadelphia Textile Institute, and they were able to determine that it was created in Swannanoa, North Carolina, or Granby, Quebec. Unfortunately, these blankets were cheap reproductions and thousands had been manufactured, so this actually wasn't even a helpful lead.
I feel like they're trying their best.
How do you say the North Carolina name? Try it. Swannanoa.
Swannanoa.
That seems right. She's got it.
Swannanoa.
It's a weird one.
We're trying, and we're sorry.
Look, I'm not really that sorry, but we have it in our source material if you need to read it. Like, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for the both of us.
Desperate, the police tracked down where the hat had been sold. Robbins Eagle Hat and Cap Company in Philadelphia.
That's Cap.
I said Cap.
No, I meant like, you know how the young... Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Somebody...
Listen, I'm not the youngins. I'm like 30.
Oh, man.
All right, I forgot slang. It happens.
Get it together.
You get it together, youngin'.
Stop. I'm like not even that younger than you.
I know. Anyways, they spoke with Han Robbins, who was the company's proprietor. Robbins was able to confirm that the hat had been sold at that particular store and that the purchaser actually returned to have that leather strap like added on. Robbins confirmed that the man who purchased that hat greatly resembled the boy in the box, but they did not have records to give them any helpful information like a name or an address.
See, that's weird to me how people can look at parents and be like, oh my god, your kid looks so much like
Dude,
you.
first off, same. Second off, something that we know about, like, witnesses now is that they actually have, like, a memory that is very, like, biased. So it's very easy to, like, unintentionally manipulate that memory. So, like, 1 week they could tell you, like, yeah, the suspect was wearing a yellow shirt. And if you ask them a week later, after being, like, exposed to, like, everything, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that shirt was actually, like, blue.
Yeah, because, like, they want to be helpful, but it's...
Yeah, and it's totally not anybody's fault. It's how your brain works. Like, once you're exposed to all of these images and, like, memories and things that are happening, you're likely to skew your memories, essentially. So the thing about asking somebody about this guy is so much longer. Is like, you show them this picture, of course they're going to be like, yeah, they looked like that. They totally looked like that. And
you can't just solely rely on a witness's memory.
Yeah, like, you would be better off asking if they could describe the person so you could try to match that up to, like, their looks or whatever, because that's really not reliable to ask that way. But, you know, it's the the 50s. Like, first off, they don't even know that at this point, probably. Like, psychology is so poor, you know, like, but also we just sucked at investigations.
And I see like 20 people a day. I couldn't describe any of them to you, so.
No, me either. I don't even pay attention to what people, I don't even look at their face.
I don't either.
I'm face blind. Like, I don't care what you look like. I just listen to how you talk and step and stuff so I can recognize you later. Losing hope, investigators released the child's photograph to the public, placing over 10,000 posters all over Pennsylvania, hoping that someone would recognize the boy and, like, come forward with information. When this did not yield any results, they did not give up. Instead, they got, like, super creative, and they sent out over 300,000 posters attached to things like gas and electric bills. The FBI caught wind of the case, and they wrote an article about the boy, hoping that it would produce some leads. But still, nothing. The case was going cold, and the police buried the boy's body in Philadelphia's posters field, which I think is, like, you know, somewhere you bury, like, people that have nobody. And they used donations to place a headstone that read, "Heavenly Father, bless this unknown boy."
I don't know why that bugs me.
I don't know. It bothers me, too. It's, like, an assumption that he's, like, religious.
Yeah, and also, like, again, what does the fucking FBI do? Now they're writing articles?
You have a point. Like,
they're like a Buzzsprout, or not a Buzzsprout, a BuzzFeed article.
Yeah,
Or
wait, yeah, what are they
article,
doing exactly? Like, their jobs make no sense to me. I don't know what they're meant to do or what they're not meant to do.
They're just winging it, like the rest of us.
Eventually, a forensic artist named Frank Bender, who runs the Vidocq Society, which is basically a group of people who work with the police to, like, solve crimes, he created a bust of the boy's father and aired it on America's Most Wanted, but this didn't generate any leads.
We should join the Vidocq.
I wonder if it's still a thing. I totally would.
But we're not forensic artists.
We're not. I think it's just, like, a ton of people, like, though, that, like, try.
But I think I would be really good. Remember that stick figure I made of you?
Please, no. You're gonna be that forensic artist on, like, the Delphi Snapchat murders that we, like, roasted.
I know, he's somewhere crying.
Yeah, he was bad at his job. I'm sorry. But damn.
That'd be me, but you know what? It's not like they're paying. Like, I feel like it's...
I'm pretty sure they pay you. Like, just an FYI, if you're a forensic artist, you get paid. Like, this guy for the society, no, but, like, for the police, yes.
Oh, yeah, like, for the police, obviously, but, like, if you're just, like, let me do this for free or whatever.
I would die if, like, you did it, and then it got aired on America's Most Wanted, and it was just, like, trash.
How do they just, like, not say anything? Like, it's trash artwork, and they're just like, if you know who this is.
Dude, I would die. Please do it, just to see where it gets us. Oh, man.
News people are, like... something else, because I wouldn't be able to keep
Oh my god, I'm pretty sure Frank Bender did like a good job with his.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I think we're good. The case went so cold, it was likely frozen until November 4th of 1998, when they decided to dig the body up in order to extract some DNA. The DNA that was extracted was not able to be used, and for some reason it took like another full year for them to determine that. So once again in 2000, the body was dug up so they could extract more DNA. Again, the DNA was not usable, so the body was dug up once more in 2001.
Oh my god.
Many thought that the DNA would never find a match, but as we now know, it was all worth the effort because eventually a family member did take a DNA test and was a match to the boy in the box, revealing his identity as Joseph Augustus Zarelli.
I feel like they were just extracting DNA for funsies.
They might have been. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we're still like researching like genetics and DNA and stuff, and like we're not even that good at it. So like back then they're probably like, yeah, get all the DNA.
I don't know. It bugs me that like a family member took a DNA match or a DNA test, but like they're not like, oh yeah, I am missing somebody.
So I mean, I think they probably didn't even know. They probably didn't even know they were related to this kid. Because you gotta think, okay? Like, if you murdered somebody in your family, would you tell the rest of the family? And then, like, as it goes, you have all these cousins, and, like, it could have been someone, like, barely related.
Yeah, I guess, but, like, I feel like that kid must have been so neglected if nobody knew he was fucking alive for 4 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. There really are. Like, how did this go unreported for so long? How did they get away with it? Did they not know they had a kid? Did they give it to someone? Like, yeah, there's a lot of questions there. Like, how do you have a literal child in your family for a couple of years and, like, nobody reports them missing?
You know, it is kind of strange because I feel like selling children is, like, the normal.
Yeah, and in 57, like, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that he was sold and that everybody was fine with it. Like, it wasn't as common, I don't think, by the 50s, but it still happened. I mean...
Well, also, like, I mean, they could have had the baby as, like, nobody is gonna know, and then just sold him right off. For 4 years,
They totally could have. I mean, who knows if adoption and foster care was even really a thing. Like, they could have just given their kid to anybody. We're gonna dive into a few of the theories, and then at the end, I'm just gonna bring up some questions that, like, I personally have that I feel like were never examined. The first theory is that the boy was in foster care that was only 1 mile from where his body was found. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this theory is, like... really interesting. So bear with me. This theory was actually concocted by the medical examiner who just could not fucking let this case go. He was so dedicated to this case, he continued to investigate it until he passed away in 1993. He had actually consulted a psychic who told him to look for a specific house.
Ugh.
The foster home, yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, bear with me. The foster home matched the description of the home that the psychic had actually given him. Remington investigated this lead himself, and when he visited the home during an estate sale, he noticed some red flags. They actually owned the same bassinet that had been in the box, and they had the same exact blanket that the boy had been wrapped in. His theory was that the stepfather was in a relationship with the homeowner and she became pregnant, giving the man motive to hide the boy and dispose of the body when he passed away. During the time frame, a girl being an unwed mother was like a really fucking big deal, so it actually would make sense. Ultimately, investigators were never able to find any real evidence, and the Vidocq Society even interviewed the family and was able to get them to take a DNA test, which proved they were not related. The psychic kind of caused like an unnecessary issue for this family, if we're being honest.
Okay, but that is wild that they had the same exact shit.
Yeah, it's totally wild. But if you think back to the like 2 items, they were very popular. One is like it's like that Indian blanket that you see a lot of people have even today. And it was like manufactured like heavily, so they could have been anywhere. And same with the bassinet, like we just said, like it was so popular, you know? The second theory is from an anonymous woman who actually came forward in 2002. She said that in 1954, her abusive mother actually bought the boy from his birth parents. She said his name was Jonathan, and she told the investigators that her mother physically and sexually abused the boy for years until he vomited in the bathtub. This enraged the mother, and she murdered the boy in a fit of rage before giving his corpse a brutal haircut and leaving his body in a vacant lot. The woman said that a man did stop to ask if they were okay when they were dumping the body, and they just like ignored him until he went away, which I find really weird. Like if I was that dude, I'd call the cops. I'd be like, either they're doing something or they're like physically not okay. The police were actually able to confirm that had happened, but ultimately they did not believe the woman because she had mental health issues, and the neighbors they spoke to said that a boy had never been living there.
Okay. Mental health issues does not equate to not being truthful, and also, like, if he was being brutally abused, I doubt he was, like, just going outside having a grand old time.
That's my thing. Like she clearly bought this boy to like abuse him. Like why would she like let him outside covered in bruises and shit?
Yeah, like this theory is one that I can fuck with.
Yeah, like I genuinely think that this is the correct theory because like if it were parents and they were not involved, this is the type of situation where they wouldn't report him missing. And if it was like somebody just straight up bought the kid, like, they're not gonna fucking come forward, and the parents are probably like, I did that illegally, like, I just sold my child, like, I'm not gonna come forward. So, I don't know, I think that this theory actually makes a lot of sense, but in 1957, all women were hysterical, according to men, so...
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, like, are we fucking surprised they didn't believe her when they should have? I mean, that was all your leads right there, and you didn't bother to go talk to the woman? Like, the mother?
Yeah. That really checked out.
Yeah, so I don't know. And like the fact that they found the guy and he was like, yeah, that fucking happened. Like I stopped there and like they were weird and I left. Yeah. It's like beyond me that they didn't believe her.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of time has been wasted. I mean, she's probably dead now, so there's nothing you can fucking do.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild to me that they didn't follow that lead at all. They were like, oh, we talked to some neighbors. They said it was fine.
And she, you know, had some depressions.
So fuck it. And also like... I don't know, like, I'm a neighbor. I don't really pay attention to what my neighbors do enough to confirm or deny if they have a child, like, honestly.
Right, literally. They probably don't even know I'm living here because I never, like, talk to them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm not out talking to my neighbors, and although this is 57, like, that might be all they had to do, but a lot of people aren't like that, so I can't say neighbors are, like, a good way to confirm or deny a theory.
It's really crazy how... like, they literally spent so much time on this case, and then they finally get a break, and they're like, no.
They have someone, like, spoon feed them the fucking answer, and they're like, no, can't be that. Couldn't be that.
Like, you just wasted so many years.
Yeah, it's wild. Just absolutely wild to me. The third and final, like, actual theory is that the boy was raised as a girl. This, like, it's not even really a theory. It's just more of, like, a statement. This theory came from Frank, the owner of the detectives group, and this theory was made strictly on his strange haircut and how his eyebrows appeared to actually be styled. In 2008, Frank even released a sketch of what the child would have looked like with long hair in hopes that it would generate some leads. It did not. But this theory has become very popularized, over the years. This theory does not include any details on like how the child passed away. So I don't know. I guess it's an important thing to know, but I don't think it's like a legitimate theory.
No, I think it's pretty fucking fucked up of him actually, because that doesn't make any sense.
Right? Like it's 2008, Frank. Get with it. We're not transphobic anymore.
Also, do you think the mother was, or the abusive, whatever you want to call her, was going to get a haircut from a child that she didn't even want?
Yeah, like this is the thing. Like, how is the haircut even relevant to me? And like, I'm so sorry. I'm sure this Frank person is still like alive, but he just has a bad haircut. I mean, I understand if the eyebrows appear styled. Okay, that is kind of strange for somebody that's been abused.
But like, what is styled to him? Like,
that's my question. Like, were they filled in? Were they just plucked a little bit?
Yeah.
If they're plucked a little bit, like, in a way that could be a form of abuse to a child, you don't need to do it and it hurts. Like, maybe they did it to fuck with them.
Yeah. Like, you just don't know. And it's really fucked up. I hope that I don't know. The only theory that makes sense is your second one. And I don't think they're ever going to look into that.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a theory. I think that, like, happened. Like, I think that was the answer.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, who am I to judge? I'm not an investigator. But, like, my question that I have is, like, I feel like maybe they should have circled back to the guy who, like, initially found the child a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, to me, he was already being really creepy. Like, he was out there doing, like, creepy-ass shit. You already know he has poor moral character. And, like, they really didn't do anything with him. Like, they kept him anonymous. They didn't, like, and it didn't seem like they really investigated him.
I feel like all of their leads, they were kind of dragging their feet, which is really sketchy. Like, they didn't question him.
Yeah, I don't think they did. And maybe I just can't find record of it. But, like, personally, I would always assume the person who found them is a suspect. Like, you don't have to take it super seriously, but you still have to rule them out.
And also, like, once they found out he was a peeping Tom, why are we not, like... why are we not looking into that right. more?
Like, why are we not putting him in jail for being a peeping fucking Tom, or at least, like, giving him a fine, because that's not okay.
Man. So, like, now, hearing this story, I realize that we've come a long way in certain aspects, but we're still fucking in the 50s.
Yeah, we're still bad. Like, we still don't do things right. I've been, like, super into watching interrogation videos lately.
Oh my gosh, you ruined me.
Why?
I was watching an interrogation video this morning.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah, but, like, they were saying all of the things you were telling me, like, the hands up means this certain thing. And I'm like, I would do that because I'm fucking anxious and I hate cops.
Right, I do that shit all the time. Like, they're also so, like, neurotypical about stuff. And I will say, though, I watched one interrogation video where they were able to identify, like, okay, this guy is actually autistic. And we can't really, like, judge his hand motions properly. And, like, you could tell, like, he needed more time to, like, think about stuff. So they can, like, tell. And they did make it a point to be, like, autistic people don't typically hurt people. Like, it's not because of that. Like, he either has, like, a serious comorbidity that isn't being dealt with, or, like, trauma or something that, like, led him to this. Because he was, like, the murderer, but...
Well, the police officer in my fucking thing, he was like, look me in the eye, don't look away. Like, I would cry.
Oh, I could never. I would be like, dude, suck my asshole. How's that? Like, damn.
I want you to say that to a police officer. That would be great.
You know, I feel like I would have a hard time not saying that if I was nervous. Like, they'd be interrogating me and I would say that and I would just die.
I know. Everything that they were doing, I was like, I do that normally and I'm not lying.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, neurodivergent people do a lot of hand motions that may not be showing confidence because we aren't fucking confident in anything. We don't know what your social cues are.
Yeah. Moral of the story, people, though, you need to ask for a lawyer if you're being interrogated.
Always. And never agree to a polygraph because it's not an exact science and it's fucking dumb.
Yeah, and people that have health issues, they don't account for that shit.
Yeah, dude, I would fucking look like a liar so hard because of, like, my POTS and stuff. Like, I can't control when my blood pressure and my heart rate go from, like, 30 to 180. So, like, that looks sus as hell.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who don't even know they have heart issues. Like, I mean, they try to say, like, oh, it accounts for your stress from being interviewed, or, oh, it accounts for this. And I'm like, I don't think it does, though, so...
Anyway, they're gonna say that you don't look like you're cooperating if you ask for a lawyer, but that's not fucking true.
Always ask for one, though.
They're liar McLiarsons. They're paid to lie.
Dude, isn't that fucked up? They kind of are, though.
They are. And, like, I believe everything that anybody ever says to me, so I'd be fucked.
And I'm the opposite. I'd be fine.
I'd be like, can I have Jocelyn as my lawyer, please? Thank you.
I'll just, like, yell at them for you. I've got you. But, like, as far as the law goes, you're probably fucked. So maybe get a real lawyer.
It's fine. You remember Drop Dead Diva? Have you watched that?
Oh my god, yes.
She
really love that show.
She won it.
It's really good. I think it's only like 2 seasons. I watched it forever ago and I totally forgot it was a thing. So yeah, watch that, guys. It's fun. It's like Legally Blonde, but less blonde.
This isn't sponsored. Bye.
Bye.